Hi there, Massy here, coach, strategist and author of 5 books now, my latest book being Decision Making Mastery. And this is part 3 of a 3-part series where I talk about things relevant to my investigation, my research and my writing of the book Decision Making Mastery. So welcome to today's episode of the Life Masterclass podcast series, coming to you all the way from beautiful Bali. Beautiful day here, but it is a trifle hot. So if you're watching this on YouTube, I am sweltering a little bit here. All good though, all good. So with the Life Masterclass podcast series, I'm all about trying to elevate our levels of vitality, vibrancy, success, wisdom, consciousness. There's a plethora of things, but I want to do it in a really practical way. And that's where I think is one of my favorite things to work on. It's like, how can I take this concept, this theory, this philosophy, and bring it into practical day-to-day living? So that's what I'm about. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So one of the chapters in this book, chapter 23, I believe it is, as I was flicking through before, your internal guidance system. So I'm going to talk about that today, and I think it's extremely relevant when it comes to making decisions. And I did a podcast not too long ago where I talked about our infatuation with intellectual intelligence and our dismissal of intuitive intelligence, and really thinking there's an imbalance there. So again, this idea of this intuitive intelligence. So when it comes to decision making, one thing I've realized with myself, I'm 51 years old, been doing this personal development stuff for about 20 years, coaching for about 13 years, so work with lots of different people and worked a lot with myself. And I see more and more right decision, great decision being made when someone dips into something a little bit deeper. So we do want to bring, our intellect into it. We want to work out the pros and cons. We want to be discerning. And I talked about some of the biggest mistakes in part 1. I talked to some of the characteristics we need to bring into the decision-making process in part 2 of this little series. And now I'm talking about going even deeper, and particularly for the big decisions that we need to make. And I truly believe there's a part of us, and I'm calling it this internal guidance system. So there's a deeper wisdom. Now maybe we're Homo sapiens, been around, dominating the species for 200,000 years. Prior to that, different forms. But there's a lot of biology that's gone into bringing this human race and us into being. There's a whole heap of intelligence embedded into, the DNA, these strands. So some amazing intelligence and information there. I don't believe when we're making decisions, we don't want to just tap into what we think we know, because that's sort of cutting out what we don't know. But there's a part of us, like a deeper part of our being, that just knows sometimes, that just instinctively, intuitively knows. So for me, that's more like the gut. So biologically, my gut is telling me to move forward or move back, move towards things that are life affirming, move away from things that are the life disruptive. So I've got those systems built in as well. The other system I've got is, and this is my theory, not my theory alone, there's a lot of people with the same understanding, the idea of a deeper wisdom at our heart level. So, there's a deep wisdom within there that we can connect to, but we can only connect to it when we slow down and we get still and we get silent. And that's where this internal guidance system is for me. Our access to tap into a deeper part of our being, which has got the connection of all parts, my intellect, my intuitive, and the wisdom of my heart. And sort of telling me, like fairly simply in general terms, whether to yes or no to things. And I find that the more I'm able to tap into this internal guidance system, and the more my clients are able to tap into this internal guidance system, the better decisions they're able to make. And particularly in the big decisions, the life-changing decisions, whether it's a professional decision, a relationship decision, a health decision, am I going to move to the other side of the planet decision, all of these sorts of things, you really want to go through the intellectual process, pros, cons, all of that sort of stuff, weigh things up. But then you want to drop into this internal guidance system and get a sense of, is this the right thing for me now? And I've, followed and taught and done yoga for about 20 years or so. So I bring that information base into my understanding of things, and I sort of sense that life is like this huge big river going along. It's like this powerful flow. There's this beautiful energy and biology to that thing going along there. And we want to, instead of swimming against the current or, like flapping around in it, we want to actually jump on and go along with this flow and tap into the energy of life as it flows through. And part of understanding whether our decision and where we want to take ourselves is alignment with that flow, we might have to drop in a little bit deeper, connect a little bit deeper, and get a sense of whether we're in flow with life and whether we feel like our life is flowing, or whether we think we're swimming up against the tide. So again, it's quite a hard one to describe in our 5 or 10 minutes or whatever conversation we're having here, to explain articulately what it is, whether talking from a scientific perspective, but it goes beyond that. It's just sometimes we just know the right decision to make in certain circumstances, and we're more likely to access that if we strategically make a point, slowing down, stopping, getting silent. I like to take myself off the grid, get away from any technology, go to a quiet place in nature, maybe beside the ocean, stillness, calmness around me. And in that place, I'm able to connect much deeper with this internal guidance system. So again, we can access it. I think we can access it pretty much any time, but it's much easier to hear that silent voice, that voice of wisdom, that sage-like whispering of our heart, giving us this sage advice to take us forward through life. So that was the sort of the 3 pieces and parts of decision making. I wanted to finish with this idea of, bringing more into the decision making than just our intellect. We have so much more access to intelligent information that is beyond just our intellect. At a deeper sensory level, and something that plugs into this unified quantum field around us. There's a part of our electromagnetic field that connects in and shares information with that. So bring that into the decision-making process. Again, practically, strategically, if you've got big decisions, those big life-changing decisions, find a place where you can get still, where you can get silence, and you can tap into that deeper sense of knowing, and just sit there and just sort of let settle the thing that you're trying to work through, and just let it settle there and see what the response is back there, back to you, and brought to your conscious awareness. That's about it. As I said, based on my latest book, Decision Making Mastery, I encourage you to check out a copy of that. You can get it Kindle, paperback through Amazon. For the next couple of days. The Kindle version will still be $1, then it'll be back to its $8.99, which is its normal price. If you've got some decisions, if you're doing some transitioning, you're trying to work through some stuff, and you'd like some help with that, don't hesitate to reach out. If this is useful for you, please pass it on, please forward it on. If you're watching this on YouTube, do push the subscribe button, don't push the notification button. You don't need any more beeping and binging in your life, absolutely not. So I hope you're having a fantastic day wherever you are on this beautiful, incredible, gorgeous planet of ours. Have an absolutely fantastic day and take care.